Hello my friends, I'm Henriette from Prime Strings. Welcome to lesson 36 of the violin class for beginners, the Crickboom method, and in this lesson we're going to be learning exercise 60 in your red book, which is exercise 83 if you've got another edition of your book. And first of all, before we start learning this piece, I want to check over your bow hold. It's always good when you are already progressing with something to review things that you have learned before. So let's just double check what your bow hold looks like today. And I want you to start with that ring again. You remember we started with a little ring between my middle finger and thumb. My thumb goes into this little spot there where you just see the stick in between this black section of the frog and this black section, which is just a preventative big piece of rubber. So while this corner here cries out for your thumb, make sure that you don't put your thumb in there. Your thumb just goes on the stick there. And then you have your middle finger precisely opposite your thumb. Drop down your ring finger and your index finger and your pinky, and then bear in mind that your pinky is on the side edge there, so it's not over the bow like that. That is how cellists hold their bow, but we as violinists have our little finger on the side edge. Now most bows have got edges here for you to spot where that is. Occasionally I come across somebody with a round stick here at the end, then it gets a bit more difficult, but if you have edges, find the edge nearest to the top, but then on your side of the bow, if that makes sense. Now, why is it important to have such a good bow hold? We are going to play short bows in the middle of the bow in our exercise today, and I would like you to start trying to relax your fingers. So let's just practice our bow stroke for today, so you can hold your violin with your left hand like that. Place the bow roughly in the middle, and now soften up your hand. And let's just try how we squeeze our hand and then soften it up. Squeeze it again. Squeeze it as hard as you can on that bow, and then let go. And now you can perhaps feel the difference between when your fingers are tense and when your fingers are really relaxed. And I want you to find your best relaxed way of holding the bow. That's not so easy when you play at beginner level, as this still is, but gradually we should aim to play with a more relaxed bow hold. So now once you think, okay, my shoulder is down, my fingers are really nicely relaxed, I'm not gripping the bow, let's do a couple of bow strokes on the D string, very short bow strokes, like that. Now if you have a good look at my hand, you can see that my fingers are moving very gently. Can you see that? And I can move my fingers because they are so flexible, they're not squeezing the bow. If you're squeezing the bow, it's starting to look like this. And then it's your whole arm that's moving. So I don't want you to do that. Just use your forearm very gently and relax those fingers. Awesome. Now that can be quite challenging for some. So if you don't get it today, please don't despair. We'll try it again tomorrow, and then eventually you'll incorporate this little movement into your playing. So when we learn to play the violin, we always learn things that are valid to us at this moment, and in a moment we're going to play our piece for today, but we're also at the same time trying to practice techniques that are perhaps slightly more advanced, so that we keep pushing our playing level up all the time. So let me play you exercise 60 or exercise 83 right now. So I'm in the middle of the bow. you may have noticed that the bow strokes are short and they're really even. So you might say 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and in your head, and you get a really even repetition of notes. Will you join in with me now playing this song? We're going to go a lot more slowly so that we can practice which fingers we're playing in the left hand as well. So we're going to go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and well, if you manage that on your first go, that's absolutely awesome. So now let's find a bar which might be tricky for some. And that is the first bar of the second line, which is the 5th bar in our piece. And then we're going to use the low second finger at the end of this bar, followed by the 4th finger. And that bit I want you to practice first. So let's play A1, 2. And now we're practicing 2, 2, 4, 4. And let's practice that a few times in a row, shall we? Now some of you may wonder why we're playing the 4th finger here, and I get that question quite a lot. How do you know when to play an open string and when to play a 4th finger? And to find the answer to that question, you're going to be looking at the notes after that 4th finger or open string and see what happens. If the notes afterwards go on to the higher string, you can play the open string. But in this case, we can have the 4th finger again, and then the notes go down and they stay on the A string. So if I played a 4th finger at the end of the 5th bar, I would just be able to stay on the A string all the time, which means that all the notes that you play on the A string have got the same timbre. Listen to this. I'll play this section with open E strings and you will hear, hopefully, that these E's are really much brighter in timbre than the 4th finger, and they just scream out a little bit too much. So I'll start on bar 5. Can you hear the difference? Now I'll play the 4th finger. And the quality of the sound of all these notes are much more in sync with one another, aren't they? So that's why we're playing the 4th finger. Now then, let's play bar 5 and bar 6. 3 and 4 and... That's lovely. Shall we do that again? Bar 5 and bar 6. And... Really nice. And now you perhaps will notice when we play this that there is going to be a sequence now. Bar 6 starts on 2 E's. Bar 7 starts on 2 D's. Bar 8 starts on 2 C's. The next bar is B's, then A's, then G's. Can you see that sequence? So you might emphasize that in your playing because that is a feature of the music that we want to bring out. So I'm starting now at bar 6 on that 4th finger. Slowly now. 3 and 4 and. You see, now you structure your music much better, and that makes understanding the music as a listener much easier. And that's what we're always aiming for when we perform a piece, is to make your audience have an easy time, really, to understand the music really well. Now, have you spotted now that the first half of this piece also is a sequence? Namely, the first bar starts on a D, the second bar starts on an E, the third bar starts on an F, the fourth bar starts on a G, and then we hit that A where we already were. So this whole piece has got a shape of going up, D, E, F, G, A, and then going down, E, D, C, B, A, G. So let's structure this piece as going louder and louder and louder to the beginning of bar 6, and then going quieter and quieter and quieter up to the end. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... Awesome. Now let's think for a moment about 3 different ways in which you can make your playing louder or softer. The first way, people always say to me, oh, you just press harder. I think we've just discussed at the beginning of the lesson that we didn't want to press too hard with our hand on the bow, keep it nice and loose, you see, so that is not my preferred option. My preferred option is to use longer bows. If I play you the first section of this piece, and I play it with very short bows, I'm just hoping that on the video this will come across, that the first time when I play it with shorter bows, it is going to be a little bit quieter. Then again, when I play the same section again with much longer bows, it will be louder. So listen out carefully. That I'm staying soft because I'm using very short bows. Now compare it with the level of loud playing when I use longer bows. I think you can clearly hear that that was much louder for the simple reason that I'm using longer bows. So if we said we were going to start this piece softer, and then go louder up to the middle of this piece in bar 6, you're gradually going to make your bow strokes a little bit longer. And then make them shorter again from bar 6 to the end as we go gradually quieter. Now, using long or short bows is not the only way in which you can play louder and softer. It's my first port of call, definitely. But there is another way, and that is playing the bow closer to the bridge. So up to this moment we've said you play your bow about in the middle between the bridge and the fingerboard. The bridge being this thing and the fingerboard being this black section. But I could play louder and come a little bit closer to the bridge, and what that does to your violin playing is that the vibrations, the bow makes the strings vibrate, isn't it? And those vibrations are having to travel less far before they go into the bridge and into the violin. So if I come closer to the bridge with my bow, that process is more direct, so I lose less of the vibrations of the string before the sound hits the violin. So you can also say, therefore, if I need to play softer, I move away from the bridge a little bit. So I'll show you these two possibilities. I'm going to go soft first, so my bow moves away from the bridge and goes nearer the fingerboard. Now I'll continue and go closer to the bridge. Can you see that? Did you hear a difference? So my first port of call for playing louder and softer is using more or less bow. My second port of call is go further to the fingerboard to play softer, come closer to the bridge to play louder. Now if you come close to the bridge, so you play loud and you use longer bows, you automatically will need to use a little bit more weight of the bow into the string to get really loud. So my third option is to add a little bit of weight. So I wouldn't say press the bow into the string because you get a different quality of tone then, but I would say hang off that bow a little bit more so that you get the bow a little bit more weighted into the string. So 3 different ways of playing louder and quieter. 1, use more bow or use less bow, depending on whether you want to play loud or soft. Come closer to the bridge or move away from the bridge towards the fingerboard. And my third method is to lean into the string a little bit more with the bow. So with that in mind, let's play the whole song once again, and let's start quietly, going louder and louder and louder up to bar 6, and then from bar 6 we're going to go and play softer and softer and softer towards the end. Are we ready? We're not playing very fast because that is yet another thing that we need to add to our already multitasking, isn't it? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... How was that for you? Do write in the comment section down below this video how you got on with the louds and softs. Can you clearly hear a difference, or is there no difference for you at all? Now with that in mind, I'm going to get ready for our next lesson, and we're going to skip a few pieces before our next lesson and we're going to go straight into the study. So I very much look forward to seeing you again then. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.